Welcome back, folks, to the random video blog where every single Friday I, Graham G.S. Matthews, run down my rambling thoughts in the wrestling world, share a few stories, etc., etc. And with this Sunday being WWE's Money in the Bank pay-per-view, as promised, I thought it was only fitting to run down my top 5 favorite Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time. And when I say of all time, I'm not talking about just the pay-per-view, though a majority of these selections of mine, again, all subjective, my personal list, your list is going to be very different, I'm sure, are mostly from the pay-per-view from 2010, just because a lot of those ladder matches, and we've had quite a bit of them, if you consider that since 2010 we had 2 of them per year, dating back from 2010 to 2013, we had 2, 4, 6, 8, we had 8 different ladder matches in those 4 installments alone, 1 in 2014 and then 1 in 2015, so that's 10 altogether, and that's not counting the few that we had at WrestleMania from 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. So overall, I believe, if my math is correct, we've had 6 Money in the Bank ladder matches in WWE, or 16 Money in the Bank ladder matches in WWE history. So I'm accounting for everything here from last year's installment to the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match from WrestleMania 21 back in 2005. So like I said earlier, guys, my list will be very different than yours. So I want to hear what your list is after I'm done with mine on the Twitter, on Facebook, all those social media links are down below. I'll plug them at the end of the video. So that being said, coming in at number 5 is from the 2014 installment, that year's Money in the Bank ladder match. Like I said, we had 2 each year from 2010 and 2013. The 2014 was the first ever installment to hold only 1 Money in the Bank ladder match. First ever installment of Money in the Bank to hold only 1 Money in the Bank ladder match. I'm not talking about WrestleMania here. So that year, we also had another 8-man ladder match, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which was good. That John Cena one, I didn't really have a problem with the outcome because it set up Brock Lesnar and Cena, Part 2, for SummerSlam of that year. That was totally fine. The thing with this Money in the Bank ladder match, I didn't even think I would rank this amongst my favorite Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time, because the show that year, up to that point, was the weakest installment in the pay-per-view's history. Not a bad show by any means. Money in the Bank has always been good, great, or amazing. This was more on the good side. I just felt like there was a lot of filler. It was actually one of the first pay-per-views I had missed in a long time. Other than Battleground 2013, this was one of the first pay-per-views I did not watch, just because, not because I didn't want to, I was working that night, so I watched the next day. And it felt like the 3 hours dragged beyond belief. I stayed away from spoilers, so everything was still fresh in my mind. I didn't, spoil the show for myself. But this match in particular, I believe the combatants were, and for every one of the matches on this list, I'm going to try to name off everyone that was in it. I'm going to probably fail, but I think I know these matches well enough, I've seen them enough times to know who was in them and whatever. So for the 2014 one, I believe there were 8 men, I want to say. There were 8 men in that match. There were supposed to be 7, but they added in 2 more. It was supposed to be 6 men, then Ambrose got added in, then Kane. So I think in the 2014 installment, I really should have prepared by knowing this, but I think we can test my knowledge by knowing who was in it or not. I mean, if I can name everyone that was in it. So I know Dean Ambrose was in it, Seth Rollins, both these guys I'll talk about in a second. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Kane, Jack Swagger, Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston, Wade Barrett was supposed to be in it. We had 7 men. Barrett was supposed to be in it, he got taken out. Bad news, Barrett was exiled out of the match because he got injured. And then Rob Van Dam were the 7 men in that match. And again, the build to this match there really wasn't a build. Like to this year's match, we have all these guys feuding, they all have a feud, or they have all rivalries with each other, pretty much all have history with one another at this point in time. Going into the 2014 show, the thing, what happened with this was that the people that originally qualified for that match, Money in the Bank, Sheamus, Cesaro, maybe somebody else, they got moved to the World Heavyweight Championship ladder match because after it was revealed that Daniel Bryan wasn't coming back in time for the pay-per-view and he wasn't going to be cleared to compete, they turned that ladder match into the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match to determine a new champion. With this match, they just tacked on Money in the Bank ladder match literally like the week before, and they put pretty much everyone that didn't qualify for the ladder match the first time around, they put them in this ladder match. RVD, who didn't qualify, they put him in this one. Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston, pretty much everyone that didn't qualify the first time around, they put in the other ladder, or they put in this ladder match. So it was basically the leftovers of what was supposed to be that year's Money in the Bank ladder match, but it made for a much better match. A lot of these guys had Money in the Bank ladder match experience. Jack Swagger having won one, Dolph Ziggler, Rob Van Dam, Kane, all those guys, 4 of the 7 men in this match had already won Money in the Bank ladder matches. Then you throw in, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, who are the key focuses of this match. Kofi Kingston as well, obviously. But Ambrose and Rollins had so much bad blood, obviously, coming into this installment just because the Shield had broken up only weeks before this. So they were pretty much the most predictable picks in terms of who was going to win. But that did not take away from my enjoyment of the match whatsoever. Everyone shined here. Everyone worked very, very well. On a show that didn't have many exciting moments, I freaking loved this match. All these guys really worked very, very well together. Put together a very fun opening match. Or it wasn't the opener. For the first time in Money in the Bank's history, we did not have an opening ladder match on the pay-per-view. But the match itself was phenomenal. Kofi Kingston at one point coming close to capturing the contract. He ascended the ladder. They were in Boston, which I know he's not billed from. That's where he lives, I believe, or went to college or something. Maybe both. But he climbed the ladder. People thought he was legitimately going to win, and then he did a back body drop to Rollins on top of the ladder. That was a fucking vicious bump. He came close before getting thwarted by one of the other competitors. In the end, Ambrose was about to win the matchup. Kane comes in, prevents him from winning. Or no, Kane was not in this match. I'm sorry. It wasn't Kane. He was in the ladder match later on. So it was just 6 guys. It was supposed to be 7, but just 6 in the end. My apologies. But so Kane was not in this match. But he did come down, though, prevent Ambrose from winning to allow Rollins to capitalize and capture the contract, which he would later cash in at WrestleMania 31. So phenomenal match. The show itself was not fantastic, but the match itself was just very well done, start to finish, great shit. So after that, from SmackDown's side of things, from 2013, it was the Money in the Bank ladder match from that year's show. The first installment of Money in the Bank that I ordered, the only installment of Money in the Bank that I ordered. I'm surprised I didn't order the 2011 show, but I guess at that point in time, I didn't really want to spend the money. And I was younger, so I didn't want to have my parents pay for it as much as I wanted to watch it. But you know what I mean, though. With the 2013 show, I had bought Royal Rumble that year. I had bought Royal Rumble a few years earlier and Night of Champions. This was the 4th pay-per-view I'd ever bought. And that being said, in the 5 years by that point that I had been a wrestling fan, that was only the 4th show I'd ever purchased. The 4th pay-per-view I'd ever purchased. And that being said, the point I'm trying to make is that in having purchased so few pay-per-views, I only wanted to use that sparingly. I didn't want to purchase pay-per-views I know I would be disappointed by. I only wanted to get shows that I know were going to be great, I knew were going to be must-see. And this show on paper had all the makings of what was to be an awesome show, and I definitely felt like I got my money's worth by the end of the night. So on this installment, we had a great, which I'll talk about in a second, the All-Star Money in the Bank ladder match, also on this list. In the main event, we had Alberto Del Rio versus Dolph Ziggler for the World Heavyweight Championship. We had John Cena versus Mark Henry for the WWE Championship. And then in the opening slot, per usual, we had the SmackDown side of things. They didn't call it the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match. They called it the World Heavyweight Championship contract ladder match. And the combatants included once again. Well, the thing about this year, in 2013, this Money in the Bank installment, was that the SmackDown side of things, and then the Raw side of things, the Raw one had all baby faces, and the SmackDown one had all heels. But what was unique about that, for one thing, it had never been done, and 2, they were in Philadelphia. So all the heels pretty much got cheered anyway, which was great. So they could not have been in a better town to do this match. But the combatants included, like I said, I should have prepared, but I didn't. So it had 7 men. Damian Sandow, Cody Rhodes, Jack Swagger, Cesaro, Fandango, Wade Barrett, and Dean Ambrose. And realistically, any one of those men could have walked out with the contract. Swagger had won it before, but they were still kind of high on him at that point in time, coming off his big push at WrestleMania. Fandango was still somewhat popular over the summer of 2013. Not really, but they were obviously high on him earlier on in the year as well. Dean Ambrose had been a prominent member of the Shield and the United States champion at that point in time. You had the Real Americans, or rather Cesaro would have been great, given that, he was ready to break out as a single star at that time. Wade Barrett was my pick to win. He had been long overdue for a world championship push. And then the Rhodes Scholars, who were kind of, sort of, not really teasing tension going into the show, but that changed completely by the end of this matchup. When Cody Rhodes, even before, I'll get to the finish in a second, but the match itself was phenomenal. Every one of these men, and Damian Sandow just got done praising this on Talk Is Jericho this past week, that every member of this matchup played their role to perfection. Everyone played some sort of role in this contest. No one was left out. I remember the Real Americans. I think, Swagger had Cesaro on his shoulders. He was trying to grab the briefcase by standing on his shoulders. Ambrose was on top of the ladder, and then he got flipped over or whatever else, and Barrett hitting bull hammers to people out of nowhere. He came close to winning a few times. The Shield came in to help out Dean Ambrose, and then the Usos came in who faced the Shield. earlier on in the evening, came in to thwart the Shield. It was just this amazing dynamic with everyone shining at one point or another. And like I said, throughout the match, Cody Rhodes came so close to winning it that out of all the heels in the match, they attached to him the most. Loud Cody chants, just going nuts for the second generation star, climbing the ladder after everyone else was laid out at ringside. And then out of nowhere, Damien Sandow, who was hiding out at ringside, comes in, pushes over Cody Rhodes. He gets busted open at ringside. Cody Rhodes gets pretty bloodied up from whatever spot that was. I haven't watched it in a while. I got to watch it back pretty soon, but hopefully before Sunday. But he gets bloodied up pretty well with a shot to the face or something like that on the ropes. Sandow capitalizes. He scores the briefcase, and it was just a phenomenal finish to an amazingly well-wrestled match, obviously, but it also told a phenomenal story, a stellar story, which we do not see too often with these Money in the Bank ladder matches. Typically, they're just, train wrecks, they're car crashes, they're great matches. They have a lot of fun spots, a lot of different components to them, but they don't really tell much of a story more often than not. Here, we got that story that set in stage a really good feud between Sandow and Rhodes, who had been tag team partners for about a year at that point, going into SummerSlam. And then Sandow, of course, his run as Mr. Money in the Bank was less than stellar. He would cash in unsuccessfully after pretty much jobbing out for months on end. So him winning was not the brightest idea, but I did love it at the time because they were kind of pushing him, and he did deserve it. I mean, he could have been a viable world champion, but it just really wasn't in the cards, unfortunately. Still, though, the match itself was a lot of fun and a really great way of kicking off the show. So moving in at number 3 here, my top 5 Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time. From that same show, like I said, I have an emotional attachment to the show because I purchased it. I just remember watching it live and loving every second of it. Was the main event, the All-Star Money in the Bank ladder match. And some people said the SmackDown one was better, and it probably was, but I don't know. Again, this is favorite, not best. And my favorite Money in the Bank ladder match from that year was the main event, the All-Star Money in the Bank ladder match, which, unlike the SmackDown side of things, which had all heels, this one had all baby faces. So you had Christian, the returning Rob Van Dam, making his first WWE appearance in nearly 6 years. So that was amazing in and of itself. Christian, Rob Van Dam. Kane was supposed to be in it, but he got taken up by the Wyatt family on the Monday before the show. So it went down to 6 guys. So it was Christian, RVD, Kane got taken out, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and who was the other guy? CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Christian, Rob Van Dam, Kane got taken out. And they were all former, Sheamus as well. I might have left out somebody, but I think that was pretty much everyone that was in the matchup. So we had Sheamus, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Christian, Rob Van Dam, Kane got taken out, and I think and Randy Orton. So those are the 7 guys that were in the match. I might have repeated someone there, and I apologize, but you probably know the lineup better than I do. Every one of these men in this match were former world champions. So really, and Rob Van Dam as well. So it had this all-star cast of guys, a lot of them having won Money in the Bank ladder matches before. CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Kane, even Rob Van Dam, Daniel Bryan. So a lot of these guys had won the match before, and they all had amazing chemistry in that ladder match environment. Also telling a very good story, too. All 6 men had really, really good chemistry with one another. CM Punk had Paul Heyman, that story going for him, and CM Punk had set the ladder before Paul Heyman. He was setting up the ladder for him after Curtis Axel took out somebody else at ringside, helping Punk win. So then in comes Paul Heyman, smashing the ladder on CM Punk's head, which gets him all bloodied up. He just gushes open a new one on his skull, and then he gets taken out for the rest of the match after just bleeding like a stump pig, as JR would say at ringside. Sheamus gets tossed off the ladder on top of another ladder at ringside. I think it might have been RVD doing a 5-star frog splash. Maybe not off the ladder, but I think off the top rope, onto the ladder, or onto somebody else, and that was a great spot too. So it was just from start to finish, everyone had their shining moment. And there wasn't one guy that was not beloved by the crowd on the show. Like I said, Philadelphia was a very smart crowd anyway. But they were pretty much into everything these guys did. So not only was it a very fun match, an exciting match, but it was also one of the most reckless Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time. Like I said, coming out of this, there were a plethora of injuries. From CM Punk getting busted open, pretty sure Daniel Bryan had his ribs bruised, and people were disappointed that he didn't win. But of course, he would go on to challenge John Cena for the WWE Championship anyway at SummerSlam. RVD was pretty bruised up. Sheamus got legitimately injured. Christian, I think, might have had a concussion or something. Sheamus got really screwed up in this match. He tore his labrum or something like that, and he was out. I mean, he wrestled for a few weeks after the show, but he was out for a solid 6 months pretty much afterwards because he just was fucked up pretty badly in this match. But like I said, just a great match, start to finish. Everyone just putting their bodies on the line to a greater extent than usual. Money in the Bank history, like I said, probably one of, if not the most reckless Money in the Bank ladder match in WWE history, but I say that with, all the positivity in the world because it made for a phenomenal match. So RVD came close. He was ascending the ladder after CM Punk got taken out. He was going to win the briefcase. Orton pulls his leg off, RKOs him after Curtis Axel, I think, got taken out, or he took out Daniel Bryan. That's why he didn't win. RVD was going for it. Orton, thwarts him, takes him out with an RKO. He ascends the ladder and wins the briefcase for himself, which was not the most desirable outcome, but it did lead to that amazing heel turn at SummerSlam, so I was completely okay with it. So, phenomenal match, start to finish, and just a great show. Now, talking about that, both that match and the opener, now I got to go back and watch it sometime this weekend. So, moving forward here on my top 5 Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time, and to number 2, we move to the 2011 installment, the SmackDown side of things, once again, for a future shot of the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think this match had 8 men in it, I want to say. This one I might have trouble naming everyone that was in. I'm pretty sure 8 guys were in this one, because more often than not, we've had 8 guys in each Money in the Bank ladder match. Sometimes 7, sometimes 6, like this year. But this match, I mean, obviously, as you guys know, and talking about the pay-per-view time and time again, I'm probably going to talk about it a lot more in the weeks to come as we quickly approach the 5-year anniversary. Money in the Bank 2011 to me was my favorite pay-per-view of all time. A near-perfect show. 2 great Money in the Bank ladder matches. 2 amazing World Championship matches. A decent undercard. But this match, I just fucking love rewatching this match. I've seen it God knows how many times on the network, on the Money in the Bank 2011 DVD that I own. I just love watching it back. At least once or twice each year, because everyone in here, not everyone necessarily had a story, had a realistic chance of winning. I mean, you look at guys like, we had the fucking core in there. I mean, Barrett could have won. He was actually my pick to win, I think. But you had Heath Slater in there, Justin Gabriel, who were Money in the Bank virgins pretty much at that point in time. They had never been in a ladder match, but they fit the environment to perfection. Even Heath Slater, who I'm not the biggest fan of, or wasn't the biggest fan of at that time, fit very well into this matchup. And they told a great story, too, because the core was once a cohesive unit, but by Money in the Bank, they'd all pretty much broken up. And they all wanted that briefcase. So they would help Barrett before turning on him, and they would try to win the briefcase for themselves. Justin Gabriel going for a 450 splash on top of, I think it was Kane or Sheamus on top of the ladder that was set up on the ring post. There are just so many spots here. But like I said, the combatants, before going further, included Wade Barrett, Heath Slater. I've seen this match enough times, hopefully I can name everyone. Wade Barrett, Heath Slater, Justin Gabriel, Daniel Bryan, who ultimately won the match, obviously. Kane, Sheamus, Sin Cara, and... who else was in this match? There was definitely somebody else, I feel like. Kane, Sheamus, Wade Barrett. Christian was not in it. It's going to bother me now. Wade Barrett. Who else was in this match? Daniel Bryan, Wade Barrett. Because Sin Cara got taken out by that nasty ladder match bump. The nasty ladder bump at ringside. I don't know whatever the hell Sin Cara was going for, but Sheamus reversed it into a... Celtic Cross, or whatever the hell he calls the Scott Hall finisher right on top, or a powerbomb. It was just a powerbomb, actually. On the ladder, ringside, breaking Sin Cara in half. It was an amazing spot, and Sheamus was pretty much on the verge of going babyface anyway. Damn it, it's really going to bother me. Unless there were 8 guys in that match. Let me double check real quick. It's going to really bother me. But everyone pretty much played their part in that match to perfection. And like I said, Daniel Bryan was kind of a long shot even still then. I mean, Sheamus had been directly involved in the WWE Championship picture, so a lot of people thought he was going to win, but he came close on a number of occasions as well. Like I said, Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater kind of fitting that role to perfection. Cody Rhodes, how could I forget? Cody Rhodes was the 8th guy in that match, and he played a very integral part of that contest as well. A lot of people thought he was going to win, coming off his split from the Legacy and kind of breaking off on his own. This was before he became Intercontinental Champion. But he was really, he really shined in this matchup as well. And Kane chokeslamming people to ringside, and Wade Barrett hitting a wasteland on top of the ladder, and people were getting taken out left and right, and it was just insane. Cody Rhodes laying people out the crossroads, and just, like I said, everyone in this match, even Sin Cara, who got taken out by the ladder, really, really shined at one point or another. And I hate to keep on repeating myself, but it's pretty much the common theme throughout most of these matches. is that all the combatants, not one was overshadowing another. Everyone pretty much had their time to shine, and this match was no exception. So in the end, I think it was Sheamus who got knocked down, and then it was Barrett and Daniel Bryan on top of the ladder. A lot of people thought Wade Barrett was winning, just because given how high officials had been on his potential as world champion. He should have been a world champion, whatever. And I think he was originally scheduled to win the ladder match, which Daniel Bryan has said in the past and like podcasts and stuff. He said Barrett was supposed to win that year. So a lot of people thought Barrett was winning. So as soon as he went up the ladder and Daniel Bryan knocked him off and took the briefcase for himself, the place exploded. Obviously, Chicago, the same city where he won the U.S. Championship in months earlier, and more importantly, the same city that he had really cut his teeth in for years in the independent scene and Ring of Honor and whatever. So they went nuts for Daniel Bryan. I was shocked beyond belief that he won it. It was really an amazing match from start to finish, with everyone really just putting their bodies in the line and having just a phenomenal fucking showing here. Great shit, start to finish. Really, really great match. And Daniel Bryan, the new Mr. Money in the Bank. So I loved it. Good shit. 2 thumbs up. And it led to Daniel Bryan cashing in later on that year to win his first ever World Heavyweight Championship. So as much as I love that show, and the Raw match was good too, but this one, despite not having the star power that the Raw one did, was the better, the more entertaining match of the two, the more entertaining Money in the Bank ladder match of the two on that show. So great shit. And then we get to my favorite Money in the Bank ladder match of all time. 20 minutes in, I'll try to keep this brief so we don't have to go to a full half hour here. I hate to make these videos longer than they have to be, but I apologize. I just can't shut up most of the time. I can't prevent myself from talking so long. But anyway, so we get to my favorite Money in the Bank ladder match of all time. I've probably mentioned this before in past #AskGSM videos or whatever else. But this is the one Money in the Bank ladder match that, unlike all the aforementioned ones, did not take place at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, but rather WrestleMania. And one of my favorite WrestleManias as a fan, I didn't even make the cutoff. I got cut off by the cutoff mark by like 2 weeks. By 2 weeks, I started watching like 2 weeks in April, so I was not around for this show. WrestleMania 24, the Money in the Bank ladder match, was just a thing of beauty. The first ever, I believe, 7-man Money in the Bank ladder match. It was supposed to have 8, but Jeff Hardy fucked up, got himself suspended, and he was written out of the match. So we only had 7 instead. Again, another match I love watching when I watch back WrestleMania 24. When I watch back CM Punk's DVD, it's also on there as well. And I remember watching the highlights so many years ago, like right after it happened or later on in 2008, and just loving this match. Set to Light It Up by Rev Theory, one of the theme songs for that WrestleMania. A phenomenal song, one of my favorite WrestleMania theme songs, by the way. But I think the combatants included, once again, if I can get this right. I'm not 0 for 4 here, but let's see if I can name off everyone that was involved in this match. So we had John Morrison, who hit just a phenomenal-looking corkscrew moonsault off the top rope earlier on in the contest, which the crowd popped huge for. That was one of the coolest Money in the Bank ladder spots in history. So we had that. We had Mr. Kennedy, who had won last year's match, and people thought he was going to win again. Carlito, Shelton Benjamin, CM Punk, obviously. Oh, man, who else did we have? Chris Jericho, MVP, who had the Matt Hardy interference. Matt Hardy making his first WWE appearance in many months to avenge the assault from MVP from months earlier. So he came in as MVP was about to win, hit a twist of fate off the top of the ladder. Chris Jericho hitting a code breaker on the ladder as well. MVP hitting his finisher several times, at ringside, the player's boot or whatever, or the player's boot. CM Punk hitting a go to sleep. I think not on top. I think he actually hit on top of the ladder. Shelton Benjamin just having a great showing here. Again, let me see if I named everyone in the match. I think I'm missing like one person here. But yeah, John Morrison was really the MVP of this match. Just and executed. He was just so in his environment, in his element in this contest, and it really became apparent at that point in time that he was that he deserved to be in a ladder match. Like he was the perfect person to be involved in that contest. Let me see here. I'm looking at the thing right now. Fuck. WrestleMania 28. I know I'm missing at least one person. I missed like one person from when I talked about the 2011 match. I'm missing one person from this matchup as well. Let's see here. That's not WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania 24, not WrestleMania 28. It's from 2008. That's my bad. Let's see. Who was in the Money in the Bank ladder match this year? Sorry for the delay. I just got to figure this out before it bothers the shit out of me. MVP. I think I named everybody. How many people were in the match? CM Punk, Shelton Benjamin, Chris Jericho, Carlito, MVP, Mr. Kennedy, and John Morrison. That's 7 people. Maybe I didn't name everybody. I thought I left somebody out. But even Carlito hitting a backstabber. I think the Jericho on top of the ladder. And then it was just There's just so many amazing spots in this one matchup that I tried to recall everything when I did my WrestleMania recall series on Next Year Wrestling from earlier this year. If you go to the website, go to Columnist Corner on the right side under categories, you can check it out, cheap plug. But there is just so much going on in this one match, but in a good way, not like a train wreck. You have no idea what the hell is going on. You can't keep up with the action, but in a good way, and not in a bad way, but rather in a good way. That it's just so exciting. You can't really. It's hard to not be invested by what the hell is going on in this matchup. So in the end, it comes down to Jericho and Punk, and Jericho's about to win, and Jericho had just come back, so some people thought he was going to win when Jeff Hardy couldn't. He was the replacement winner. But CM Punk outsmarts him. He was about to lock him in the walls of Jericho, which Jericho had done to John Morrison earlier on in the matchup. Punk outsmarts him, locks his leg in the ladder, ascends the ladder for himself, and wins the briefcase. And later goes on to win his first ever World Heavyweight Championship that summer. So a shocking winner to an amazing match, and undoubtedly my favorite Money in the Bank ladder match of all time. So as always, guys, thank you for watching and listening. I appreciate your support. I apologize for being all over the place and not having my shit straight to begin with, and having all the combatants written out and whatever else. That was my bad. But next time I'll be sure to come prepared. I have the list sitting right here, and I thought I'd be able to name off everyone in the match. And I did for the most part. I did pretty well, you gotta admit. But there were a few people I did forget. But anyway, so before we go any further, before we end the video, one last time, just to recap my top 5 Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time. If you started watching halfway through, which I wouldn't blame you for, because we're almost a half an hour fucking in here. I just love Money in the Bank. It's hard to not talk about it as, in as much depth as I have. But my top 5 Money in the Bank ladder matches once again include number 5 from the 2014 installment, number 4 from the 2013 installment, the SmackDown side of things, number 3, also from 2013, the All-Star Money in the Bank ladder match, number 2, the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match from 2011, and number 1, the Money in the Bank ladder match from WrestleMania 24. So as I said, all way back when, a millennium ago at the start of the video, I want to hear what your guys' list is in the comment section down below, on Twitter at WrestleRain, also on Facebook at facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. And maybe this Sunday's Money in the Bank ladder match, which has all the potential in the world to be absolutely amazing, will become my new, or one of, or maybe crack the list, or even top the list of my favorite Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time. I certainly hope so. I have a feeling it's going to come in at least number 5 and knock off that 2014 one, but only time will tell. So that being said, guys, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All support is amazingly appreciated. Enjoy Money in the Bank on Sunday. Next week, I'll be back with another random video blog talking about maybe my experience meeting Paige and Mark Henry this past weekend. We'll see whatever the hell's going on and whatever the hell's on my mind. But until then, have an amazing weekend. Enjoy the pay-per-view on Sunday. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch you folks down the road.